often in the same year have we gotten two films that both feature a tyrannical ape emperor? Not often, but it's weird that it happened twice this year, right? As of this recording, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes is about a week away from premiering, and I'm just so excited for it. I wanted to come on here and share my excitement and anticipation for it. But before I do, just a little bit of history. So, I am a huge Planet of the Apes fan. My first Planet of the Apes movie was the 2001 Tim Burton remake. Now, I loved this movie so much that I ran to my grandma and just poured all my love about this movie to her. I wouldn't stop talking about it. And her response was, "Oh, you like this one, huh? That's good. Maybe you'd really like the old one." And I looked at her and said, "There's an old one?" Now, yeah, I know. I know that movie isn't typically liked by a lot of people. It's not considered very good, but I really love it. I actually saw it recently for the first time since I was maybe a teenager. And while I didn't love it to the level that I did as a kid, I was nearly obsessed with it as a kid. I still really liked it. It's campy, B-movie fun, and the acting, at least the ape acting, is kind of so ridiculous. It's funny, but in an enjoyable way. Tim Roth as Stade is so cartoonishly pissed off the whole time, you can't help but love it. I don't know, I really love that movie a lot. I hoped for far too long for some kind of sequel or continuation to that universe or to that movie that quite obviously never came. But then, hope was returned to the franchise through one of the greatest trilogies of all time. Yes, it is. Shut up.
He's a smart one, isn't he? What are you gonna name him?
Do they look like just apes to you?
He saved our lives.
He was remarkable.
Apes together! Strong, strong!
The reboot trilogy. Man, these movies are phenomenally good, and I don't think that they get the credit that they deserve. Yes, they were fairly successful films, but I feel they're really underappreciated. They're not really in a lot of conversations when it comes to storytelling or really well put together trilogies. And Caesar isn't discussed enough of how good of a protagonist he is. I feel that Caesar is one of the best protagonists that we've ever had in film for a long time. And fast forward to now, we're now at Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. And while I'm very excited for it, I do have some thoughts, both positive and negative.
Are you familiar with the concept of evolution?
My first immediate thoughts are, I think this film looks really, really good. Looks like it's keeping in spirit with the reboot series. The apes look really cool, the characters look engaging, the story looks like it's going to be really exciting. I overall think it's going to be a good movie. I'm excited for it. But admittedly, there are some things that I've seen here and there that has me kind of concerned. In the reboot trilogy, the apes looked fantastic. Half the time, most of the time, you forgot you were watching an effect. Especially in Dawn and War, this was the case. Even when the apes were doing acrobatic things, running, swinging, riding horses, all of that stuff, they looked really convincing. With the exception of Rise, the effects weren't that bad, but they are dated in some spots. You know, Caesar looks a little too bright up against the background and his surroundings, and the apes look kind of rubbery when they're getting really acrobatic. In Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, it kind of feels like they're scaling back to that. Now, I'm not saying it looks horrible, but watching the trailers, it kind of has that trapping of most modern day action films, which is that it looks really digital. Wes Ball in an interview said that he used a really old lens on the camera to invoke the feeling of those old 70s films. And I'm not really catching that from anything that I'm seeing with featurettes and trailers and all that stuff. It has a really digital look. And the apes themselves look very digital, at least in some spots. In some spots, it looks really rough. In other spots, they look fantastic. But the way some of the apes look as of right now in some spots, and even some of the backgrounds, it's kind of looking rough right now. Speaking of this film's director, Wes Ball, his most notable work are those Maze Runner movies, which are alright. I like Wes Ball, I liked those movies just fine, but I really feel like the director of this movie should have been Andy Serkis. Hear me out. Andy Serkis got top billing in those reboot trilogy movies, and he really killed that role. And he's already a director, so since they can't get Matt Reeves because he's working on those Batman movies, I think Andy Serkis would have been the next logical choice. He knows this universe clearly, he knows these characters, he knows the vision, so I think he really could have brought something that would have honored the vision of that previous trilogy. Now, of course, the new movie isn't out yet. I can't say for sure if it does or doesn't respect the vision of the previous trilogy, but from what I'm seeing so far in the promotional material, there really is nothing for me that says, oh, this is Wes Ball's style, and he's really gonna bring his A game to that. The movie looks good, but it doesn't seem to have any kind of directorial personality to it. And I think Andy Serkis really could have brought that, especially since he's someone that clearly understands this universe's world. Look, my worries aside, I hope and I feel like it's going to be a really good movie. I'm excited for it all the same, and who knows, I could be wrong. Maybe none of that stuff will come to fruition in the movie. Maybe the effects will look just fine, and Wes Ball is going to do a bang out job directing this movie. Or even if I'm right and these problems are in the movie, Wes Ball's direction is kind of wrong for the movie and the effects don't look great in some spots, maybe they won't affect the movie that much. Maybe the quality will be just fine, and those will just be nitpicks at the end of the day. But this movie, I'm excited for it. It's a few days away. I can't wait for it. I'm going opening weekend, and it's gonna be a thrill ride, man. Really, only time will tell if I'm right or wrong about any of the negative things that I've said, or even about any of the positive things that I said. Maybe the characters won't be good. Maybe the story won't be engaging. I don't know. Only time will tell. I just gotta go see the movie to find out. And I'm gonna go opening weekend for sure. I'm ready to go day one. This is a day one for me. But what about for you? Are you a fan of these Planet of the Apes movies? Did you see any of the classic ones from the 60s and 70s? Did you see the Tim Burton remake one? Have you seen these new reboot ones? Are you gonna go see this one? Let's talk everything Planet of the Apes down in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.